There is a photo from that trip. I'm in a white dress, hair still wet from the ocean, smiling the way people smile when they don't know yet. Ryan is next to me, arm around my shoulders, looking somewhere off to the side. Not at the camera. Somewhere else. Brooke took that photo. She already knew. I look at it sometimes, not out of masochism. I'm just trying to understand whether I could have seen it. Whether there was some sign I missed. Probably not. Or maybe I still wouldn't know how to read it even now. There were 4 of us. Me and Ryan, Brooke and Nate. Turks and Caicos, Grace Bay, a hotel with a pool that blended straight into the beach, the water so blue it looked painted. We saved for that trip for 8 months. I made a whole folder of bookmarks, restaurants, snorkeling spots, a sunset catamaran tour, day trips. I know how to prepare for things. As it turned out, not for everything. Ryan had given me a promise ring 6 months before the trip. Not an engagement ring, he explained. Just a sign that he was serious, that we were moving in the right direction. The word sign sounds different to me now. We flew in on a Friday evening. By Sunday, I was the happiest version of myself. By Monday morning, Ryan had slept with the woman in room 214. I didn't find out right away. I found out 10 days after we got home, on a regular Tuesday, while I was doing dishes and listening to Brooke stumble over her words on the other end of the phone. That's where the story really begins. Brooke called at 7:47 in the evening. I know the exact time because I was looking at my phone when it buzzed, expecting Ryan. He had promised to stop by after work, but her name came up on the screen, so I answered with wet hands, phone pressed between my ear and my shoulder, still scrubbing a plate. "Hey," she said. Something in that "hey" was off. Not the tone exactly, just the pause before it. Too long, I put down the plate. "What happened?" "Nothing, She went quiet. "Lee, I need to tell you something. I should have told you sooner. I know I should have." I sat down on the kitchen floor, not because my legs gave out. Just because I did. I leaned my back against the fridge and looked at the tile. "Tell me." She talked for a long time, or it felt that way. Her voice was shaking. She started over a few times, explaining that she wasn't sure, that she thought maybe she was wrong, maybe it wasn't serious, maybe it was better not to destroy things. Monday morning, she woke up early and went down to the lobby for coffee. 4th floor hallway. Ryan was coming out of room 214, not our room, room 214. In the same shirt he had been wearing the night before. He didn't see Brooke. She pressed herself against the wall and let him pass. Then she stood there and stared at the closed door. "I didn't know how to tell you," she said, for the 3rd time. "Lee, say something." I was quiet. Not because I didn't know what to say. Something inside me was very calmly clicking into place. A puzzle I hadn't been assembling, but it was putting itself together anyway. How Ryan was already sitting at the breakfast table Monday morning when we came down. "Couldn't sleep," he had said. How Brooke stared at her plate all through breakfast. How there was a woman in a red swimsuit by the pool, and Ryan looked in her direction once, just once, a beat too long, and I thought, it's nothing. 10 days, I finally said. "What? You knew for 10 days. A pause. "I didn't know how to. 10 days, Brooke." She started crying. I listened to her cry and thought about how the promise ring was pressing into my finger. I had never noticed that before. "Lee, I'm so sorry." I have to go," I said, and I hung up. Then I sat on the kitchen floor for a long time. The fridge hummed behind me. Outside, someone was walking a dog. It barked at something, then went quiet. I stared at the ring. A sign. He said it was a sign. A sign of what exactly I was beginning to understand. I didn't plan to stay quiet for 3 days. It just happened. That night, when Ryan came over and asked why I was so subdued, I said I was tired. Headache. He said I should go to bed early. He stroked my hair. And something in me clicked into place right then. Not anger, something colder. I thought, you're touching my hair with that hand, and you're smiling. And you don't know, or you do know, and that's exactly why you're being so careful about it. I lay down. I watched the ceiling while he fell asleep. Then I picked up his phone from the nightstand. I had never checked his phone before. On principle, I thought it was degrading for me, not for him. I thought trust was a choice, not naivety. I thought that for 3 years. I knew the password. The day we met. He had told me himself, years ago, laughing that he was bad at picking passwords. I found that charming at the time. 4 digits. The screen unlocked. I found the messages in 7 minutes. The contact was just Kayla, no last name, no emoji, nothing. Either he didn't think I'd look or he didn't care. I still don't know which is worse. Kayla, 23, based on her profile photo. She was staying in room 214 alone, had flown in from Miami, had been bartending on Grace Bay for 2 seasons. They met the first night. While Brooke and I had gone for ice cream, Ryan and Nate stayed a bit longer at the bar. That was when the messages were short but enough. I photographed a few screenshots on my own phone, put his back on the nightstand, got into bed, closed my eyes. Next to me slept the man I had planned to spend my life with. It's interesting how the brain works in moments like that. It doesn't scream. It starts sorting. I lay there and thought not, how could he, but what now? Not I loved him, but who else knew? Nate was with him at the bar that night. Did Nate see him leave, or didn't he? Brooke stayed quiet for 10 days. How many times in those 10 days had we all sat together, laughing, and they both looked at me and said nothing? How many times had I been the only one in the room who didn't know? That was, I think, the part that hurt most. Not the betrayal itself. The fact of being last. Everyone already knew, and there I was smiling and passing someone the bread basket. For the next 3 days, I was a very good girlfriend. I made breakfast. I answered his texts quickly. I laughed at his jokes, including the one about traffic lights that he had been telling for 2 years. I laughed like I was hearing it for the first time. We had dinner together Wednesday night. He got wine and said he missed being on vacation. I said I did too. That was actually true. I missed that trip. The version of it that didn't exist. Thursday, I met Brooke at a coffee shop. She came in looking like someone walking to their execution. I ordered 2 lattes and said, "Tell me everything you remember, in detail." She told me, and I listened and nodded. No tears. At the end, she reached across and took my hand. "Lee, are you okay?" I looked at her. "Yes," I said. "I'm fine." She didn't believe me, but she didn't argue. I think it was easier for her to think I was holding it together. Friday morning, I opened Instagram and checked who Ryan had been liking for the past 2 months. Then I found Kayla's page. Open profile. Miami, bartender, 180 followers. Her most recent post, a beach. 3 weeks ago, Turks and Caicos. A sunset, beautiful sunset. I'd seen it too. In 2 weeks there was Nate's birthday party. A big one, 30 people, his parents' house outside the city, all our mutual friends. Ryan had already bought the gift. He told me about it proudly, expensive headphones Nate had been wanting for a while. I listened and thought, good, so everyone will be there. I didn't know yet exactly what I would do, but I knew it would happen there, and I knew it would be enough. I've been doing visual work for 6 years. Logos, branding, presentations for companies that want to look better than they are. That is my job. Take something real and shape it into a story. Package it. Emphasize the right things. Make sure what matters is visible immediately and what doesn't fades into the background. Saturday evening, I opened my laptop and applied those skills to my personal life. Ryan had gone to his parents for the weekend. I told him I had a deadline. Client, urgent, sorry. He said, of course, totally understand, let's talk tomorrow. I said, let's make it Sunday, I'll be working late. He sent a heart. I sent one back. Then I closed the thread and opened a folder I had named Project N. The screenshots of the conversation with Kayla were already on my laptop. There weren't many, but they were specific. Date, time, content. I enlarged them, cropped out the clutter, straightened the edges. Then I pulled up Kayla's Instagram and saved the post with the Grace Bay sunset. The geotag said Grace Bay. The date was the second day of our trip. Monday morning, when Ryan couldn't sleep. I made a collage. Clean, professionally composed, because I can't make things look bad even when I'm trying not to care. The screenshot on the left, Kayla's post on the right, and our photo from the same day along the bottom. The one where I'm in the white dress, hair wet, smiling, Ryan looking somewhere to the side. I stared at it for about 5 minutes. Then I saved it in 3 formats. Next, I thought about delivery. I could just show it on my phone, but a phone is easy to grab, easy to say, let me see that, easy for someone else to take control of the moment. I needed something that couldn't be stopped halfway through, something everyone would see at the same time. Nate had a TV in the living room. A big Samsung, 75 inches, he had bragged about it. I'd seen it 100 times. It connected to a phone via AirPlay in 4 seconds. I checked. My phone could see it on the network. Nate had never changed the Wi-Fi password. I still had it from New Year's, Nat 2019. I sat with that for a moment. The folder, the collage, the saved password. Sometime around midnight I got up, poured myself a glass of water, stood at the window. The city below was going about its business. Cars, traffic lights changing, someone somewhere getting home. I thought about how in a week everything would be different, that some things can't be walked back. I thought that meant Ryan. It turned out it meant everything else too. But I went back to the laptop and started thinking about timing. The beginning of the party was too early, people still scattered, still arriving. The middle was better. Nate would make a toast around 8, usually while everyone was still standing with their glasses, right after the toast, before the cake. I opened my notes and wrote, after the toast, before the cake. Then I added, don't cry, I underlined it twice. By 1 in the morning, I had everything. The file, the plan, the timing. I closed the laptop, brushed my teeth, got into bed. My phone lit up. Ryan had sent a voice message, good night, miss you. I pressed play and listened to his voice staring at the ceiling. Miss you, an interesting word for a man who had been in bed with someone else a week ago. I didn't reply. I told myself I'd fall asleep, and surprisingly I did. Deeply, no dreams, for the first time in a week. That probably should have been a warning sign. When you feel calm, not because it passed, but because you've already decided. I didn't understand the difference yet. Ryan showed up at 10 in the morning with 2 coffees from the place on the corner I like. Caramel latte, right size, my name on the cup spelled with E, the way I always ask, and they always get wrong. This time they got it right. He knew how I ordered. 3 years is enough to know how someone orders coffee. I took the cup, said thank you, smiled. You look good, he said. He looked me over the way people do when they're comfortable with you, not evaluating, just taking you in. Is that new? I had put on a dress he had never seen. Dark blue, simple. I bought it 3 days earlier. I wanted this evening to be attached, in his memory, to something he hadn't seen before. So he couldn't later look at any of my things without thinking of what happened. New, I said. We went to pick up Nate's gift. Ryan drove. I sat with my coffee and looked out the window. October, the leaves were starting to turn, the sky pale, not cold yet, but getting there. He turned on the radio, something low, I don't remember what. Nate was talking about Mexico, Ryan said at a red light. Next summer. Cabo or Cancun, he and Brooke haven't decided. What do you think? I looked at the road ahead. Next summer. Cabo or Cancun, the four of us again. We'll see, I said. You're not into it. No, just we'll see. He took my hand. Casually, the way he sometimes did when we were driving somewhere. His hand was warm. I knew that hand by heart. The knuckles, the small scar on his thumb from a bike accident when he was a kid, a story he had told me 3 times. I had held that hand at the hospital when his grandmother died. I had held it on our first date when we were walking and he suddenly took mine and I thought, this is it. I pulled my hand away, pretended to check my phone, typed something that wasn't anything. He didn't notice, or he didn't show it. In the store, he went back and forth between 2 models, asked my opinion, I gave it. Normal answers. He picked the one he had already decided on. That was something I used to find endearing, how he'd ask, and then choose what he wanted anyway. At the register, he told the salesperson it was for his best friend's birthday. The guy said, "Lucky friend." Ryan laughed. I stood next to him and thought, 7 hours. In the car back, he kept talking. The party, who would be there, how Nate wanted to order pizza after midnight, some story about their friend Marcus. I listened, nodded, said "ma'am" in the right places. He stopped at my building. We were taking separate cars. He wanted to swing by his place to change. 7 o'clock, he said. 7, I said. He leaned over and kissed me. Quick, automatic, I didn't pull back. Everything okay? He asked. He was watching me, head tilted slightly. That moment I replay sometimes, he asked. He looked me in the eyes and asked if everything was okay. And something in him in that moment was real, I could see it. Not guilt, not fear that I knew, just him sensing that something was wrong and asking. I could have said no. I could have said we need to talk. Not now, but we need to. I could have chosen a different path to the same ending. Everything's fine, I said. Just a little tired. He nodded, said to rest before the evening, drove away. I stood on the sidewalk with my cold coffee and watched his car disappear around the corner. A plane tree overhead dropped a leaf, slowly, curving down, landing right at my feet. I picked it up, held it, put it in my pocket, I don't know why. Then I got out my phone, opened the Project N folder, checked the file. Everything was there. At 7, I put on my coat, picked up my bag, and walked out of the apartment. Nate's parents' house was outside the city, 40 minutes, a long driveway, a maple by the gate that his mother had planted when he was born. I knew that detail because Nate mentioned it every time we came out here. 31 years old, and he still talked about that maple with pride. I always found it touching. Tonight the maple was fully ablaze. Orange, almost indecent. Ryan was already waiting by the gate. He had arrived early to help Nate set up. He saw me coming and smiled. "You look great. You already said that today. Means it's true." He took my hand and we went inside. 30 people, maybe a little more. I knew half of them. Old friends of Nate and Ryan, a few couples we'd crossed paths with at other parties, Nate's work colleagues I'd seen twice. The music was low, something warm in a big pot on the kitchen stove. It smelled good. A normal party. Exactly the kind it should be. Nate came at me immediately. "Lee," he hugged me hard, rocked me side to side. "You're the best thing in Ryan's life, you know that?" "I know," I said. "He doesn't deserve it, honestly." He laughed. Ryan laughed. I smiled. Then I saw Brooke. She was standing by the window with a glass and had been watching me from the moment I walked in. I just hadn't noticed right away. When our eyes met, she didn't look away. She just held my gaze. There was something in her face, not quite fear, but close to it. I spent the next hour doing everything right. I talked to people I knew, laughed at the right moments, went for food twice even though I couldn't eat. Ryan circled back periodically, said something, moved on to his own conversations. A normal evening for everyone but me. My phone was in the pocket of my coat, hanging near the entrance. I checked it once. File was there, Wi-Fi connected, AirPlay could see the TV. 4 seconds. Brooke caught me in the hallway around 8. Actually caught me. She grabbed my elbow as I came out of the bathroom and pulled me to the wall close. "What are you about to do?" Almost a whisper. "I don't know what you mean." "Lee," she held my eyes. "I've known you for 8 years. You've been acting like someone with a plan for 2 weeks. Tell me what's going on." The hallway was empty. From the living room came laughter, someone's loud voice, the clink of glasses. "Everything's fine," I said. "You haven't cried." She was speaking quickly, leaning closer. "You found out your boyfriend cheated on you, and you haven't cried once. You showed up to this party in a new dress, and you're smiling." "Lee, that's not fine, that's..." "Brooke," she stopped. "You stayed quiet for 10 days, I said. Quiet, even. 10 days you knew and you said nothing. You sat across from me, drank the coffee I bought you, looked me in the eye and said nothing." She opened her mouth. "Closed it? I'm not asking you for anything," I said. "Just don't get in my way." "Lee, please. If you do something here tonight in front of all these people, it's not going to end well. Not for you, not for... It already didn't end well for me." She looked at me for a long moment. Something shifted in her eyes. Not agreement, but an understanding that I wasn't going to stop. "Nate doesn't know," she said quietly. It sounded like both a warning and a plea. "I know." I moved her hand from my elbow, walked back into the living room. Ryan was by the fireplace with Marcus and someone else, laughing. He saw me and winked across the room. I winked back. Nate stepped into the center of the living room and asked everyone to fill their glasses. Time for the toast. I went to get my coat. Nate was a bad public speaker and he knew it, so he led with that. He said, laughing, that he had prepared a speech, lost the paper, so sorry, it'll be off the top of his head. Everyone laughed. Someone called out, "Get on with it." He raised his glass. I was standing near the coats, phone in my hand. Nate talked about childhood. He and Ryan met when they were 11. Some story about a bicycle and a broken fence. I'd heard it before. Then college. Then how they both found their girlfriends around the same time, and how strange and good it was when your best friend was happy too. I opened the file. "And I want to say something separately," Nate continued, his voice dropping a little, becoming more serious, "about Brooke." I didn't look up, I was watching my phone. Because this year was not easy, you all know. And she was there every single day. Every day. I don't know how to explain what that means when things are hard and someone just stays. Doesn't go anywhere, just stays. I looked up. Brooke was standing across from Nate. She hadn't expected this. She thought it would be a regular toast. She was holding her glass and listening, and her face had gone open and unguarded in a way you only see when someone doesn't think they're being watched. Nate kept talking. "Something more?" I stopped hearing the words. I was watching Brooke. She knew I was in the room. She knew what was in my hand. But she was looking at Nate and nowhere else. I thought, if I do this now, this moment disappears. This exact moment, happening right now between the two of them. It can't be given back, not to her, not to him. I thought, so what? She stayed quiet for 10 days. Then I thought, he has nothing to do with this. Then, that's not my problem. Nate finished the part about Brooke and said something funny and everyone laughed again. The tension dissolved. Brooke wiped her eyes with a quick motion and pretended she was just fixing her hair. Nate didn't cross the room to her. They weren't that kind of couple in public. But he looked at her from across the room and she looked back. I pressed the button. AirPlay connected in 4 seconds, exactly as long as I had told myself it would take. On 75 inches appeared the collage. Clean, well composed, because I can't make things look bad even when I try. The screenshot on the left. Kayla's post on the right, Grace Bay, the date. Our photo along the bottom. White dress, wet hair, Ryan looking to the side. For the first few seconds, no one understood what they were seeing. Then someone did. Then someone else. It moved through the room not like a shout but like a wave, quiet, the kind that knocks you off balance anyway. Ryan was by the fireplace. I watched him turn toward the screen. I watched him look at it. I watched the exact moment it landed. He looked at me. I looked at him. 30 people in the room, and between us was absolute silence, even though around us people had started to react, some quiet, some not. Marcus put a hand on Ryan's shoulder. I don't know why, maybe reflex. Nate was standing with his glass still raised, looking at the screen with the face of someone who had just had something important broken on his own birthday. Brooke looked at me, not at the screen, at me, and in her eyes there was no anger. There was something worse, a quiet, final kind of understanding, as if she had just figured something out about me, or about both of us, or about how this was all going to end. I switched off the airplay, put my phone in my pocket. The room went quiet for a beat. Then Ryan said something low, but everyone heard. Lee, just my name, nothing else. I put on my coat. Happy birthday, Nate, I said, and I walked out. The first text came in at 11:14 p.m. Ryan, we need to talk. I read it and didn't respond. I lay down, stared at the ceiling, listened to the building settle around me. A door downstairs, footsteps on the stairs, then quiet. A normal night for everyone else. At 11:41, Brooke wrote, I saw the preview. Lee, I don't understand how you could, and turned the phone face down. In the morning, there were 9 messages. Ryan 3 times, Brooke twice, Marcus once, which surprised me since we'd never been close, and 3 other people I knew by name but not well. People who had been at the party. I made coffee. Read all of them. Ryan's went from wanting to talk to whether I had any right to do that to saying what I did was cruel. He used that word twice. I noticed he never wrote I was wrong or I'm sorry. Cruel appeared twice. Kayla wasn't mentioned once. Marcus wrote one short message. Didn't know what was going on, but it was Nate's birthday. Some things can be done differently. I read that one several times. Some things can be done differently. Brooke didn't say anything concrete. Just that she didn't understand, that she thought she knew me, that she needed time. Then a second message. Nate is upset. Really upset. I closed my phone and went to work. That was Sunday. By Monday, things were clearer. People divide into those who reach out and those who go quiet. The ones who go quiet aren't indifferent. They've already chosen and they don't want to explain. By the middle of the week, I knew where everyone stood. 2 women from our circle had posted supportive things on Ryan's page. I could see them because he hadn't made his Instagram private. One of those women had been standing 3 meters from the screen when it all happened. Nate wrote nothing. That was louder than everything else. Thursday, Ryan's mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Friday, she texted, 4 sentences, polite and cold. The last one, I hope you understand what you've done. I understood. The question was that I understood something different than what she meant. I had thought it would feel different. Not the details, the sensation of it. I expected something like relief, or like justice. Concrete, real, the way it feels when a tooth that has been hurting forever finally gets pulled. It hurts, but it's the right kind of pain, the kind that ends. That didn't come. There was just quiet. And in that quiet, I found myself thinking not about Ryan. I kept thinking about Nate's face while he stood with his glass raised and stared at the screen. I kept thinking about Brooke looking not at the screen but at me. I kept thinking about how his toast about her had ended and what happened right after. That moment I took from her, not on purpose, but it doesn't change the fact. The second week I went through Ryan's things that had been at my place. Not much. A charger, a sweatshirt, a book he had been planning to read for a year. I put them in a bag by the door. He came for them on a Saturday morning, buzzed from downstairs, and I sent the bag down with the front desk. We didn't see each other. 3 weeks after the party, I got coffee with a friend I hadn't seen since spring. She lived across town, worked a lot. We'd drift apart and find each other again. She knew nothing, I told her. She listened without interrupting and then said, "He's awful. You were right to leave," I nodded. "And the thing you did at the party," she paused. "That was a little harsh." Third person to use that word. I finished my coffee and thought about how harsh and wrong are not the same thing. Ryan did something wrong. I responded with something harsh. Those two things exist independently of each other. You can be right and still do something you quietly pay for afterward. By the end of the month, the circle had gotten smaller. Not collapsed, just narrowed. A few people drifted away on their own. I let some others go because talking about it again and again had become impossible. Brooke didn't call. Nate didn't write. I worked. I took new projects, answered emails, built layouts. Freelance is useful that way. You can stay home for several days and no one notices. I noticed, but I kept going. One evening I opened that photo. White dress, wet hair, Ryan looking to the side. Brooke off camera, she had pressed the button. I looked at my face in that photo. That Lee didn't know yet. She was just standing there smiling and she was happy, or thought she was, which for a while is the same thing. I felt a little sorry for her, and a little sorry for the person I am now. It's March. 5 months have passed. I live in the same apartment, work with the same clients, go to the same coffee shop where they still spell my name wrong. On the surface, mostly the same. Inside, a slightly different geometry. Like a room where the furniture has been moved, everything is there, but you walk through it differently. Ryan is seeing someone, from what I hear. A mutual acquaintance mentioned it, not unkindly, just in passing. I nodded and changed the subject. I won't tell you exactly what I felt. Something blunt and quick, like bumping into an old bruise. Brooke called in January. I picked up, I don't know why, maybe I just wanted it to finally happen. She didn't talk long. She said she hadn't called because she didn't know what to say, and that she still didn't. She said Nate was still hurt, not at me specifically, just at how everything had gone. She said she missed me. I said I missed her too. We didn't make plans to meet, we just hung up. But something in that call was necessary. Like opening a window for 5 minutes in a room that hadn't been aired out in a long time. Nate and I haven't talked. Maybe someday, maybe not. Sometimes I think about that Saturday night when I sat at my laptop building the collage. How calm I was. How I underlined "don't cry" twice. That calm, I think now, wasn't strength. It was anesthesia. I had numbed something inside myself to do what I wanted to do. And then that something thawed over the following months, and the thawing was unpleasant. I don't regret leaving Ryan, that I know for certain. Everything else is more complicated. There are things I would do differently, not because Ryan didn't deserve it, but because Nate didn't deserve it. Because there's a difference between dismantling something bad and burning down everything nearby. I couldn't see that difference at the time. Or I could, and I remember Brooke's face in that hallway, and I chose not to see it. That's the part that's hardest to make peace with. That photo from the island is still in my phone. I haven't deleted it. White dress, wet hair, Ryan looking somewhere to the side. Me smiling, and it's real, you can tell. Not because I knew, because I didn't know anything yet. I look at it sometimes and think, there's a person who had it good. Or thought she did, which for a while is the same thing. Then I put the phone away and keep going with my day. That's probably just how it works. You don't let go of it. Life just grows longer than it, and it stays somewhere behind you, and you keep moving forward, not because it got easier, but simply because you move. I bought a new plant last week. A big one by the window. I don't know what it's called. The guy at the shop said it was low maintenance. Main thing is don't overwater it, I said, that I can do. He didn't quite get the joke, That's okay, I did.